friends, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today, and before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have. Now in today's video, I'm going to show you how to calibrate your Cricut machine for print and cut. And while I am going to be using my Maker, it is done the same way for the Maker 3, the Explore machines, the Explorer 3. So you're going to be able to do this with any of the Cricut machines that you have except the Joy. The Joy doesn't do print and cut, so just keep that in mind. This is a really fun and easy thing to do. I'm going to give you a few links down below, which will include where to print your calibration sheet from, as well as some other videos I have about print and cut. So let's go ahead and get started.
Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun.
If when you're doing print and cut, your Cricut is not cutting correctly, let me show you how you can calibrate your machine. This makes a huge difference and is super helpful when it comes to cutting out your designs. What you want to do is you're going to go to the 3 lines in the upper left-hand corner. Next thing you want to do is go down to the word calibration right under New Product Setup. From here, it gives you options. You can calibrate your rotary blade, your knife blade, and those blades are both for the Cricut Maker only. Or you can do the print and cut, which is what we're going to do. So we're going to select that one. Now, you can print the calibration sheet from your design space. I recommend the one on the website, and I will link it down below for you. So I'm going to tell it that I already have my calibration sheet because I printed a couple of them already. Then I'm going to click continue. Now it's going to give us all of our written directions here on the screen. So it just says that calibrating your machine correctly and ensures that it's going to print well. What we want to do is place our sheet in the top left corner of our mat, and then we're going to click continue.
This is what your calibration sheet is going to look like. It has numbers here at the top and then letters on the side, and then you have some squares. So what you'll want to do is line up your sheet as straight as you can onto your Cricut mat. And I'm using a relatively not sticky green mat. You want to make sure it's well held down.
Now that we've loaded our mat, we're going to go ahead and click continue. It's going to go ahead and ask us which machine we want to use, and I'm going to use the Maker D729, which is the one that we're going to cut with today. Now you'll need to calibrate each of your Makers, your Explorers, all those machines. You'll have to do each one individually. Now you want to make sure that you have your fine point blade in, and we're going to go ahead and load our project.
Now that we're ready to load, go ahead and hit the load button. And what it's going to do is just like it does when it reads regular print and cut, it's going to read your registration marks, which is the big box. Now, when you actually do print and cut, you will see that you only have little corner pieces. It's not going to have the big box anymore. Once it's loaded, go ahead and hit your go button, your Cricut button, and it's going to read those lines, and then it's going to cut each of the little squares. I think just the center square first. Now from here, I want you to take a look at the square that it cut, which you can see that mine got caught a little bit, not a big deal. But what you want to do is look and see where those cut lines are on that square and see if it cut on the black line or if it did a really bad job and cut really off. And you can see that mine cut super off because you can see that there's a lot of black line here and no black line there. So we're going to go ahead and tell the Cricut that no, it didn't cut well.
So over here, it's going to ask us, without unloading, because you don't want to unload it, examine the cut line around the small square in the middle of the calibration sheet, which we did. Does the cut line touch the printed line all the way around? This is going to be a big no for us, so we're going to do a basic calibration. So what I'm going to do here is click continue, and it's going to go ahead and cut that square again.
Now what it's doing is it's going to cut all of the number lines and then the letter lines. And what we'll do is find the line that it cut most directly on and tell the Design Space software that that is correct. Now I always recommend printing some extra calibration sheets. I have 2 extra just in case you need them to do another calibration. Sometimes it does take a couple to get the machine to cut exactly where you want it to. Now that it's done with the lines, what you'll want to do is before you go back over to your computer is take a look at all the lines across the top. and you're going to find the one that is the closest to cutting center on the line. So for me, it looks like 13 is probably the closest. It's still not great, but it's better. And then you're going to look at your letters, and it looks like 13 and M. Now, you may need to turn on a flashlight, turn on a really bright overhead light in order to see these lines, but just know that you'll be able to see them. So I'm going to go with 13 and M for this one.
So now over in Design Space, what you want to do is choose your top line, and we know that that was number 13. And then you choose your right line, which is your letters, and we said that that one was M. Go ahead and click continue from here. Now it's going to tell us that our basic calibration is complete. So it wants us to print another calibration sheet, which is why I tell you to print the extra sheets.
We can go ahead and unload this one, and we're going to go ahead and do the calibration again because we want to make sure that we're getting a really good cut. Now you can just throw this page out, so I don't really care that I pulled it off of my mat and it got all curly. But I am going to load a second calibration sheet onto my mat, again making sure as straight as I can, and I'm going to go ahead and lay that down.
So again, over here, all you have to do is tell it I have a calibration sheet. Just click continue because we have an extra one, and click continue again because we've already loaded it. It knows which machine we want to use, so we're going to need to go ahead and do basically everything over again.
So now go ahead and load that mat, and we're going to go ahead and click that start button. It's going to cut the square again, and then it will go through the sides, and that way we can make sure we get the most accurate cut. So like I said, it cut the square first, so that's the first thing we want to check. I'm going to go ahead and just peel that off again. And it should hopefully have cut a little bit better, but you can see we still have a lot of black on these sides, no black down here, and then just a little bit of black there. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it no again over on Design Space.
So like I showed you, it didn't really cut great, so we're going to go ahead and tell it no, because we're going to let it do another basic calibration. It wasn't great. Now this says like this is okay, but like we can do better because that one isn't great. There's no white left or no black left on the sheet. So I'm going to just do one more of the fine calibrations, and then the next one we will do the regular.
So like we did the first time, we're going to find which line has cut most center on our page. So this time it looks like 12 is the closest. And then I'm going to say it looks like J on the side is the closest. So we're going to go to 12 and J over in Design Space.
So over here, we're going to go ahead and check our top line as number 12 and our right line as the letter J. Go ahead and click continue, and we want to unload, and we're going to do just the last piece of the calibration. Now we're going to do the calibration one more time, so I'm going to say that I already have my calibration sheet. Click continue, load that mat, click continue. It's going to select our machine here. And when we do this one, it should hopefully cut that square in the center much better, and then we can do the second version of the calibration.
It is time to check our square, so we're going to go ahead and pull that off, and that is almost perfect. Super happy with it. Like I said, sometimes doing calibration can be frustrating, but it's worth it in the long run. So the next thing we're going to do is tell it that it cut really well over on Design Space.
So finally, we're able to tell it yes, that it did cut well, and that's going to have us proceed to the fine calibration. So go ahead and click continue, and it's going to cut the letter lines and the number lines.
Now, just like all the other times, you're going to look at your lines and find which one, again, cut the most centered. And you're going to notice that there should be one that's really, really centered. So you're going to want to take your time and really look. So I think for me, number 10 is the closest. And then I'm going to look down here on my letter lines, and L is very clearly centered. So we're going to select 10 and L.
Over here, top line is 10, and the right line is the letter L. All I gotta do is scroll down and then just simply click continue. Now it's going to cut out that really big square.
So this is where the big square comes into play. Everybody always wonders, and it's for the last set of calibration that you do. That big square should cut out, and then you just go ahead and peel that up with your pin pen. I like to always just use my pin pen. It's easier for me. And just like on that small square in the center, you should see some black around all of the square, which I do.
Now over here in Design Space, you just tell it, yes, it cut close enough to center. Now you can always do another calibration if you're unhappy with how it cut, but I think mine cut pretty close, so we're good to go. Go ahead and click continue and calibration is complete. Simple as that. It's going to unload your mat and you're good to go.
I hope you saw how easy it was to do print and cut calibration. It's pretty simple and definitely something you should do from time to time, especially if your stickers look like they're cutting a little bit off center. Now, is it going to fix every single problem with print and cut? Absolutely not. But is it important to do it? Yes. I tend to do it every couple of months, and especially if there's going to be a major update where they are making big changes to Design Space, I will tend to do a calibration. Usually you just need to do it one time. I did it multiple in this video just to show you that you do have that option to make sure that it gets it really, really good and centered. And this one was very, very off, and there was just a recent update. So definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you're having issues with print and cut. Again, all the links that you might need are down in the video's description, including where to print off your calibration sheets. I really don't recommend using the one that comes with Design Space. It's a little bit different, and for some reason it just doesn't work as well. And I'll have some links to some of my favorite print and cut videos. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!